Thank you so much for sitting down again with me this morning. This time, I want us to go to our Old Testament passage in the book of Exodus, chapter 23. There's a fascinating passage there that teaches us about the lifestyle of moving into a great promise of God. In chapter 23, beginning with verse 31, he said, I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the desert to the river. I will hand over to you the people who live in the land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them or their gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, because of the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. Now, back up just a little bit more then and see, all right, God said, I'm going to establish the borders, I'm going to bring you in, but notice, I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little I will drive them out before you until you have increased enough, until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. Now I want you to see several principles here. Number one, when God has a big promise for you, He's not going to give it to you all at once. You don't have the ability, you don't have the finances, you don't have the capability to handle it all at once. That's why when people say, oh, Pastor Samuel, I'm praying for an 8-bedroom house and lot. And I say, how much money do you make? Well, I make $10,000 a month. I say, okay, now let's just talk here for just a minute. Oh, and Pastor, I want air conditioners in all the bedrooms. I said, that's wonderful. I said, but let's just back up a minute. Until you increase enough so that you can pay the electricity for an 8-bedroom house. Until you have enough money that you can pay the upkeep on an 8-bedroom house. God's not going to give that to you. God might give you a 50 square meter, 2-bedroom condo, and then you own it. And then slowly, God brings you up into the big promise. You have to increase your capability so that you can receive the whole promise. Too often you and I think that God is holding things back from us. God's not holding anything back from us. God's trying to protect the integrity of the promise, because if He gave it to you all at once, you'd lose it. So as God gives these big promises to you, be patient, continue to develop yourself, continue to increase your capability, to continue to increase your ability to receive the promise, and as your ability increases, more of the promise will come to you. But then notice, He says, I'll establish the borders, I'll give you the victory, but He said, you're going to have to do the work of driving them out. God will give you the promise, but you're going to have to do some work in possessing the promise. And part of that work of possessing the promise is going to be not making partnerships with people within the promise that don't belong there. This is why the Bible teaches us, don't enter into partnership with an unbeliever. Some of you take shortcuts to receive the promise. And then later on you have all this pain in your life, and you realize that you made decisions to include people in your life so that you could have more now, that cause you to sin and cause you to lose everything later. Now there's a statement that you need to go back and meditate on. Sometimes we include people in our lives today so that we can have everything we want right now, because we don't want to develop ourselves to receive the promise. So we make covenants and we make partnerships with people that have no place in the promise. And then they cause us to sin and we lose everything in the promise. Please, I beg of you, you have a really good God who wants to bless you abundantly beyond anything you could ever ask or imagine. But it takes time. Little by little, you will walk into the promises of God.